And to bring this exercise towards a conclusion, G, gratitude. To extend some compassionate connection to yourself. Just give yourself some thoughts, some appreciation for giving yourself this opportunity to do something for you. And allow yourself to be aware of anything else that you would like to express some gratitude towards at the moment. These exercises are all about compassionate connection to self. I accept myself, I forgive myself. I'm grateful for this amazing gift of human life. And in this way, and bring your attention to the environment around you, any sounds, feet on the floor, chair, bed supporting your weight. Attention back to your breathing. And just some attention into your limbs, hands and feet. Just give your hands and feet a bit of a stretch. Just let yourself make your way back gently into the evening. Come back and join the group. And just allow some space for a little reflection. So if you'd like to unmute yourselves. Those of you who arrived for the second sitting, Jenny is away today, so I've unmuted you as you came in, but very welcome, lovely to have you here. Just gone through a gentle, structured meditation, a guided meditation to lead into a mindful state. So anybody got any questions, anything they'd like to ask, any observations? So please unmute yourself.
So apart from saying it's very relaxing.
Thank you, Angela.
Sorry, it's me. Sorry, yeah.
That's all right. I've got the gallery thing up. I'm scanning the screen to catch up with everybody. Lovely. So how was that? Could people follow that? Did that work?
Good. Yeah.
Basically, it's just an alphabet A, B, C, etc. So A is basically for awareness, just to remind ourselves why we're here, and then I use the A for relaxation. So A for then just starting at the arms. We tend to carry tension in the upper body, so just let the shoulders go. And then B is then bringing attention to breathing. And then in mindfulness practice, not trying to change anything, just being aware if you're someone who's very anxious, and sort of compassion focused therapy is development from Paul Gilbert's development of mindfulness work is at this point just bringing people to awareness of abdominal breathing and just correcting their breathing patterns so they slow things down in through the nose, out through the mouth, breathing down into the abdomen. Sometimes it can take a whole session just to get people then see got the breathing right, give the conscious mind the job to do. So we're just seeking to empty the mind. Mindfulness is what we do when we're not thinking. And then they're ready and nice and relax with that. So it's all calibrations you're doing with. And then D is then going out into peripheral awareness, D for distance. I usually use sound for that, temperature of the air. And again, bringing the sound because through into the body and then into internal dialogue. So just aware of these different aspects of what we can hear. And E is just let the mind empty, which is the hardest thing of all, because the mind isn't designed to be empty, and the thoughts and feelings and emotions will come back. So just pre-frame that and just point out that things will come into the mind, just allow them to come and just don't engage with them during this mindful meditation. Just note they're there and just let them go. And then very quickly, don't leave too long in the E bit. F is for freedom, just let the mind be free. If you want to just rest in awareness and do the empty bit, that's fine. If you want to be thinking about these intrusive thoughts, just being aware of them from this observer position. So you can be disassociated rather than just dissociating straight into despair. And then it just keeps going as long as you want it to, really. G is then gratitude. I think it's nice to have gratitude. And then I sometimes add hope. And then I can be setting an intention as you're heading back into the day, and then your mindful practice, what intention do you want to take into the day, etc., etc. I did sit down once and I went all the way through the alphabet and I got something for every letter, but I think for the purposes of tonight, that will do nicely. But a nice longer meditation. There's something for every letter. We'll maybe do that on another occasion. So that's a nice simple thing, and I would encourage you, as with all this stuff, is to take what works for you and make it your own. But that's a nice way to introduce people to a simple way of getting into a nice, calm, peaceful, restful state and make compassionate connection to self. So was that okay? Anybody got any questions? Any observations? Anything? So that's my sort of go-to when people come and want to learn how to do mindfulness. That's the way I tend to do it with them. This is Ernest Rossi, who one of Milton Erickson's apprentices, died last week. R.I.P. Ernest Rossi. So it's far better to give an experience rather than an explanation, rather than talking people through stuff. Just get on and do it. And nothing's learned till it's felt in the bone. And back to Maya Angelou. Long after people have forgotten what you said or did, they'll remember how you made them feel. So you give them an experience, give them a feeling, and then they can start to unpick it for themselves. So there are. So just moving on. What I'd like to share with you this evening, the slightly more structured bit, is a reading I came across a week or so ago from John O'Donoghue. I love John O'Donoghue's stuff. Any of you familiar with John O'Donoghue? It reflects my Catholic upbringing. He was a Catholic priest. He died very young, a few years ago, or some years ago now. He wrote a very well-known book called the Anamkara, which is somewhere around here. Dig it out, here we go. Spiritual wisdom from the Celtic world, which one of my patients recommended to me about 20 odd years ago when I was sort of beginning on this kind of leg of my musings. And it's just I say it's a Catholic priest, but it's open to anyone. It's very secular. Beautiful. And then his other famous work is Benedictus, which is a book of blessings. I did something from the Anamkara a while ago, I think. But anyway, this is a sort of a little bit of an essay, if you like, from him. So if you'd like to just invite you all to, well, leave thing. If anybody starts making a noise, I'll probably mute you. But those of you who everything's okay at the minute. So. An inner whisper, not obvious or known to others. This was 25th of May 2015. Human identity is complex. Nothing is ever given simply or immediately. Even the simplest act of perception has many layers. Time and memory often reveal things that were staring us in the eye, but we never noticed them. The quest for the truth of things is never ending. To be human is to be ambivalent. Every experience is open to countless readings and interpretations. We never see a thing completely. In sure anticipation, our eyes have always already altered what awaits our gaze. The search for truth is difficult and uncomfortable. Because the mystery is too much for us, we may opt to settle for the surface of things. Comfort becomes more important than true presence. This is precisely why we need to hear the discerning voice. Somewhere in every heart, there is a discerning voice. This voice distrusts the status quo. It sounds out the falsity in things and encourages dissent from the images things tend to assume. It underlines the secret crevices where the surface has become strained. It advises distance and opens up a new perspective through which the concealed meaning of a situation might emerge. Its intention is to keep the heart clean and clear. This voice is an inner whisper, not obvious or known to others outside. Yet much depends on that still, small voice. The truth of its whisper marks the line between honour and egoism, kindness and chaos. In extreme situations which have been emptied of all shelter and tenderness, that small voice whispers from somewhere beyond, and encourages the heart to hold out for dignity, for respect, for beauty and for love. That whisper brings forgotten nobility into an arena where violence has traduced everything. This faithful voice can illuminate the dark lands of despair. It becomes both the sign and presence of a transcendence that no force or horror can extinguish. Each day in the world, in the prisons, hospitals and killing fields, against all the odds, this still small voice continues to echo the beauty of the human being. In haunted places, this voice carries the light of beauty like a magical lantern to transform desolation, to remind us that regardless of what may be wrenched from us, there is a dignity and hope that we do not have to lose. This voice brings us directly into contact with the inalienable presence of beauty in the soul. That's John Donahue from Beauty, the Invisible Embrace. Well, we do, time will allow. I might finish with the beautiful blessing from John O'Donoghue. Having got him in here, we might end up with that this evening. So the reason why I think that's relevant to this, because what he's talking about there is what we're describing our mindfulness teaching, our mindfulness practices, noting this ability to find this place, there's this hidden observer, this place within us which is part of us but apart from us at the same time, that can just note from a place of peace and equanimity and connection with ourselves what's happening. And so we've got this emotion free or emotion stable place of equanimity where we can just disassociate slightly and just observe what's going on without straight away dissociating straight into traditional or old patterns of response, dissociating into despair. The idea between stimulus and response, there's this gap, and with this our mindfulness practice we can just widen this gap, so when the trigger comes we don't just straight away dissociate into the patterns that bring people for help, but we have this opportunity to just be aware of what's happening, and then this gives us choice. We can start to choose our response. We don't have any control over everything, stuff happens, but what we always have the option to do is to choose how we're going to respond to what happens to us. And it's that determines the quality of our life and our experience generally. So this is the mindfulness skill of noting, essentially just finding this passionate place where we can just be aware. And in meditation form, perhaps we use this noting to be aware that our mind has wandered, and then just come back to awareness of the breathing again. The idea being, if we do this as practice, as a regular practice, 20 minutes, once, twice a day, this pattern becomes hardwired into our neurology. The structural and functional neurological changes that hardwire us to calm and peace and happiness and clarity, better concentration. So this is our meditation divides into these formal practices that we encourage, and also probably even more important is taking these attitudes that we develop in our formal practice, then taking them this seamless transition into the day, and having this ability just to be able to just stop and step back and observe ourselves from this dispassionate, involved place, so that we can then start choosing our responses, choosing how we choose to relate to the things that are going on in our life. So meditation in this context is formal meditation, is training in awareness. Our job in this formal meditation is simply to watch the mind without judgment or reaction, and ideally with compassion for self. This is the bottom line. So just to turn up and be aware and watch the mind with a genuine sense of openness, interest and kindness towards the self. This teaches us how to relate with compassion to ourselves and thus to others. We can't deal compassionately with others unless we are starting from that place in ourselves. And in this way, it doesn't matter whether the mind is busy or restless or quiet or calm. In mindfulness meditation practice, we're not looking to change the mind in any way, just to observe it from this place of comfort and ease. And once you get used to this, this is the beauty of this, the mind will never trouble you again. This is a much more valuable approach than trying to control the mind or get rid of restless and obtrusive thoughts in some way. It's finding this place where the mind does not trouble you. It's non-reactive, non-judgmental approach to our thoughts and our feelings. In that way, we can be aware that They are just thoughts, they are just feelings, and there's so much more to us than that. You know, we're not defined by our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our memories, our dreams. They're just a part of us. Important part, but just a part. There's so much more. So just allow yourself, just for a minute or two, just to settle your attention on your breath. Just notice the rhythm. Follow each and every breath. If it helps, just start to count the breaths as they pass. Not trying to breathe in any particular way, just following the rhythm. When you've noticed that you've been distracted, just note it. Let it go and gently just come back to awareness of breathing. Just continuing to follow that movement. Interested in each and every breath. Noting when the mind wanders and just coming back to the breath. If you wish, just letting go of that focus and letting the mind be completely free. In this way, we can just be curious about what we're doing, apart from nothing. Essentially, what we're doing in this practice is we're coming to our senses. We're waking up to the moment. We're finding peace, contentment, and connection in the present moment. In the present moment, there's no narrative. Just in this direct state, present with ourselves in the moment. As soon as there's any narrative, our mind wanders off into the past or the future. And there's no peace, no happiness to be found then. So just noting where we are, either being in this direct state in the here and now, or in a narrative state, just thinking about anything except what is happening and what you're doing now. Of course, it's not what you're doing that makes you happy. It is being mindful of what you're doing that makes you happy. This direct state leads to happiness, the narrative state does not. And in this state, we can bring our experience, our awareness to our experience. Touch me, teach me, touch me, teach me. What is this experience seeking to teach me? What message does it have? What lesson is there here for me? This way, the awareness that comes from paying attention to the present moment deliberately and non-judgmentally can help us to be in touch with ourselves. It's noting how we're experiencing it through our senses. What Dan Siegel describes as mind sight, the seventh sense. We're not dwelling on thoughts of the past or the future or any kind of fantasy or dream. It's pure presence. No mental agitation, elaboration of any kind. Foundation of all contentment. So meditation is training in this awareness. Just allow yourself again to just focus softly wherever your attention is resting at the moment. Sound around you, the chair supporting your weight. Any thoughts, feelings, emotions, reflections of what's being said. Just be aware of them, and just for the next few minutes, just bring your attention back to your breath. Deep breath into your abdomen. As you breathe out, just allow yourself really to relax fully. To help with this, just a gentle, even body scan. For this, I suggest that you just start at your feet and just slowly, steadily make your way up your body. The visualization I find helpful is like one of these old-fashioned photocopiers with the light that just steadily goes across from left to right or right to left, just Start at your feet and just imagine that light of awareness just resting on your feet. And slowly, at whatever speed is right for you, just coming up your body, not trying to change anything, just noting whatever there is to note. Ankles, legs, knees, thighs, tummy, your arms and through your trunk and chest, elbows, shoulders, up through the neck, to the jaw, the cheeks, forehead, the eyes, back of the head, and out to the top, and then just gently, smoothly back down to the feet again. And just run this 2 or 3 times, whatever rate works for you. Not getting stuck in a particular place, just noticing without judgment, without reaction, how the body feels. Second time round, you may find exactly the same as the first. Maybe things have shifted. Whatever, just letting things be. Not trying to change anything. Things change themselves. Just in your own time, just 2 or 3 scans up your body. See anywhere that feels particularly comfortable, anywhere that feels uncomfortable. Any pain, any stress. Then, when you're ready, just shifting the focus back to the breath. Notice the rhythm of the breathing. The rhythm of the breathing, of course, is an indicator of how the mind is behaving. Just watching the rhythm. Without judgment, without reaction, without labeling. And if it helps to maintain the focus, count the breaths. Just count each cycle. Of course, distractions will come, the mind will wander. Just note each distraction with a curious, gentle, soft mind. And as you note the distraction, you can just allow it then to come and to go. Staying with every breath. Gently bring that awareness back to the breath again. Back to the space around you. Prepare yourself just to bring this subtle awareness that you find in this practice with a gentle, seamless transition. You might like to just use this journey into transition to set yourself a small task. Maybe through the evening, perhaps through tomorrow, finding half a dozen times or so, perhaps a few times this evening, half a dozen times tomorrow. Just notice when you were distracted from what you were doing. Just notice how the mind is in that moment. Oh, it's a thought. Oh, there's a feeling. Oh, there's an emotion. And then let it go. Come back to whatever it was that you were doing. This is where happiness, contentment, peace is to be found. Focused and absorbed in the moment in what we are doing. What is happening in the moment. Disattention to anything else. Non-judgmentally, non-reactively noting when we lose this. And gently bring awareness back to being in the moment. In our meditation practice, what we're exploring is content-free awareness, space between the thoughts, space between the feelings and the emotions. in our daily life, in our informal meditations. It is absorption and full concentration in what we're doing, whether it's cleaning our teeth or washing the dishes or driving the car or daily work, whatever we're doing. Just pure flow, pure concentration, pure presence, just being in the moment. And in this way, the doing then just takes care of itself. So what we've been focusing on this evening really has all been around the technique of noting. This is bringing this attitude of noting just to respond to the mind with curiosity and equanimity and understanding. And this attitude we bring, this defines our experience. As we meet experience with interest, balance, patience and awareness. And this brings us really to the purpose of all this, which is freedom. It's being okay with the mind as it is, however it is. So just allowing yourself just a few minutes now just to complete this lesson for yourselves in whatever way works and is appropriate for you. Just storing, installing the learning. And then when you're ready, gently coming back to awareness of the sounds around you. Breathing, the body, just a gentle stretch. Just become aware of your hands and your feet. We tend not to think about those most of the time, so it's just a nice way of just coming out of our body and back into the day. Good stretch, little yawn. And then we can perhaps unmute and share any observations, questions, reflections.
Refreshing. Always refreshing. Thank you.
That's nice. No, you're very welcome.
Didn't want you to stop.
Exactly.
Not many people say that.
Yeah. I now feel outrageously relaxed. It's wonderful.
It's good now. It's beautiful. It's good. So it's just a nice way of being. Just to run through the four kind of skills of mindfulness that Jenny and I seek to teach, and with this for those old hat for those who've been around for a while. But the first is just the Taylor Times definition of practice of conscious awareness. So we start by just attending, by just being in the moment. You know, American doctor training, they call it, the doctors are called the attending physician. You know, the physician is actually there at the bedside and present. So our first step is attending, which is this associated state of actually being there, you know, be here now. And then the next step to that is stepping into this sort of slight disassociation, being there, attending, but being and finding this place where we can note and just be aware. You know, Jack Hilgard, and not those who've done some hypnosis, talk about the hidden observer. You know, there's this part that is aware. I mean, when we're teaching hypnosis, so the patient or the client is always aware that they're playing a role, that they're being, that they are in an altered state, but there's a part of them that is aware that they're in that altered state. You know, Jack Hilgard called this the hidden observer. And there's always, you know, and this is this passionate place of safety and comfort where we can just be aware of our experience, be a part of our experience, and apart from it at the same time. And it's from this place. So this is where we do our noting from this place of equanimity and calm, where we can get clarity about what's happening, start to learn from what our experience is seeking to teach us. So that's noting, and then the third skill then is the resting in awareness. So while we're noting, we actually haven't achieved mindfulness in the watered down sort of mindfulness that the West use in sort of therapeutic interventions and stuff sort of stops at that, is just being aware of what's going on. But in the Buddhist mindfulness practice, the Vipassana meditation is using this ability just to be aware, to then be aware of the spaces between the awareness. It's like sort of falling through the gaps between the grill. This kind of transcendent function. So moving into the space between the thoughts, and with practice and experience, nobody can be free of thoughts. Our mind is not designed to be empty. The ego is there and has a function. So we're not seeking to switch the left hemisphere off entirely. It's just a shift into right hemisphere function. So that's, again, for those with a hypnotic background, that's the similarity between mindfulness and hypnosis. Looking at functional MRI scanners, people in hypnosis, there's a shift to right hemisphere function, and people in a mindful state, in mindful meditation, the shift is to the right as well. So there's much less left hemisphere activity. So the gaps between thoughts and feelings and awarenesses just space out a bit. But there's always the two. Creativity is a dance between the two. We're not seeking to sack the left hemisphere in the conscious thinking mind. We're just being aware that there's lots of stuff going on between the thoughts. So that's just resting in awareness. And then when awareness comes back, that's the paradox of mindfulness practices. As soon as we're aware that we're mindful, we've actually lost it because we've got the awareness that we're mindful. And so we just then have to let that awareness go and slip back into the space between the thoughts and the awarenesses. So Rumi's field, out beyond the world of right doing and wrong doing, there is a field, and I'll meet you there. And when the head lays down in that grass, the universe is too vast for thinking. Ideas, words, even ourselves have no meaning. So this is this beautiful, dispassionate, this field that contains all our experience and so much more. It's where our resources are. So that's the third, is just resting in awareness. And then the fourth skill is this seamless transition. So in our mindfulness practice, we're finding this exploring our ability to find this ability to be present, be here now and notice, and then just resting in awareness, and then bringing this seamless transition, bringing this state, this place of peace and calm and safety and tranquility, to bring this back into our daily life. So it's just running quietly in the background, and always with practice only just a breath away. So when we go into our crash state, we can be aware that we're crashing and just stop and take a breath and just come back to center, and then decide, use that opportunity to decide how we can then choose our response. So there we are. So there's a little run through. We've sort of covered the field, I think. So any questions, any feedback, reflections?
The word freedom keeps coming back to me, and F in your mnemonic,
Yes.
F for freedom,
Yeah.
and in a way that ties in with the noting, being aware and noting, and then reaching that point of release. And I think that's a wonderful state to be in, and what it's a lovely thing to strive for. And I think that I use Headspace, and I do a semi-guided Headspace every day. And I love it when it gets to, I use the same one every day. And when it gets to that point, just towards the end of the semi-guided 15 minutes, the lady says, now let go of everything. You can forget your breathing, don't think about your breathing, don't think about what's around you, don't think about what you're sitting on, etc. Now let it all go. And that to me is freedom, and I love that. And a lot of what you've been saying tonight, for me, comes back to freedom.
Yeah. Lovely, yeah. In the lovely, and that's in this mindful context. Freedom is being okay with the mind as it is, however it is. Freedom from our conditioned responses. We're free to choose our response. The more cognitive frame, the NLP idea of the whole purpose of NLP, for those who have studied it, is freedom from limiting beliefs. And the mindfulness comes into that when we realise that we're responding to the maps we're making of the world, and The whole point, once we realise that nothing we believe is true, we're just making a map of the world and then responding as though it's the truth, rather than one of an infinite number of different ways that experience can be interpreted. Then we've got some freedom. Don't believe everything you think. And then the rest is love, just meeting yourself with compassionate connection. And this is the generative coaching aspect of it. The kind of traditional way coaching is taught, is a very ego-based thing. What do you want and how will you know when you've got it? And there's sort of the executive type or performance coaching model. Whereas the generative coaching is what did the universe send you here for? What's your purpose? Something transcending, just thoughts and feelings and emotions. There's something, we're part of something much, much bigger, much, much greater. Nice work if you can get it. Just becoming translucent to the transcendent. It's just allowing the light and the energy to the universe to work through us. So there we are, getting a bit profound. I'm allowed to when Jenny's not here. She tells me off. Stick to the script. So, any questions? Any observations? Stunned silence.
All I was going to say was the passage of. Oh, sorry, Julia.
That's all right, Tim. I love your musings. It's fine.
I always get a bit self-conscious.
Go on, Tim. Let's have your musing, and then Julia can have a go. For everybody.
No, ladies first.
All I was going to say, something that came into my head that was said to me many, many, many years ago. I was in Sri Lanka, up in Kandy, and the guide had been taking us around for a couple of days, and he just pointed the temple to us and the dome and the spike on the top, and he said, the point on which we hang our thoughts. And it just came to me this evening, and I've never let go of, it's always been there. I just thought, just those few words, there it is, you just pop them on there, just the spike on which we hang our thoughts. I really like that. That was so many years ago, but anyway, I just thought I'd share it.
Thank you, lovely. Just finding that place where you can say, well, it's just a thought, it's just a feeling, it's just an emotion. It doesn't define me. There's so much more to me than that. There's like to Korzybski, the Polish philosopher. He said, the left hemisphere, the models we're making of the world. He's John Chuff said the map is not the territory. Or at least paraphrases that. Basically saying whatever you think it is, it isn't. He described the left hemisphere as like a hall of mirrors. We have all our experience comes out. Our body keeps the score. Our experience comes to us through our senses. It gets filtered through the corpus callosum, eventually into the left hemisphere, to the Broca's area where speech is, and Wernicke's area where the association is made, and we create a narrative. We tell ourselves a story, and we tell the rest of the world a story from the information that's come in. But it's the map is not the territory. Whatever you think it isn't, it is. It isn't. It's just one of an infinite number of different interpretations of data, information, and energy. And he described it as a hall of mirrors. So you look in one direction and it's tall and thin. You look in another direction, the same thing, short and fat. And another one is distorted in a different way. And there's just an infinite number of different ways of interpreting our experience. But we're meaning-making machines, and that process that we use, it's part of our, it's part of this. But it's the blessing that has made us the dominant species on the planet, and also the curse. That is our destruction, our downfall. This dominance of thought. I think, therefore I am. There's so much more to us than just our thoughts. But anyway, on that note, just to clock stream, is everybody ready for me to?
Tim has his musings.
Oh, Tim, sorry. You muse away.
Okay, very brief, just an observation. Isn't it weird? Here we are, and I just look at all of us around us. The lights are on, the windows that you can see are black outside, and isn't it weird how time has flown by this year?
Yeah.
And it seems like yesterday that spring was here, and we were all looking at each other.
Birds were singing.
Birds were singing, and the light was pouring in through the windows. It's just an observation.
Angela's in her tropical paradise. She's sitting underneath a palm tree there, in tropical Rotherham.
I wish.
That's this tropical York.
the people's
it's a bit of
Republic.
an out of control house plant. It's going to reach the ceiling.
The People's
It's massive.
South Yorkshire.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. So let's back in order. Back in order. Come on, class. So feet on the floor. Then we're just a bit of John O'Donoghue. Is everybody happy with a bit of John O'Donoghue?
Yep.
Okay. This is a blessing. May the light of your soul guide you. May the light of your soul bless the work you do with the secret love and warmth of your heart. May you see in what you do the beauty of your own soul. May the sacredness of your work bring healing, light and renewal to those who work with you and to those who see and receive your work. May your work never weary you. May it release within you well springs of refreshment, inspiration and excitement. May you be present in what you do. May you never become lost in the bland absences. May the day never burden. May dawn find you awake and alert, approaching your new day with dreams, possibilities and promises. May evening find you gracious and fulfilled. And may you go into the night blessed, sheltered and protected. And may your soul calm, console and renew you. I'd like to invite you to spend the last couple of minutes just finding some thoughts of gratitude to yourself, giving yourself this opportunity and for participating in the energy of this beautiful group. There's some special quality in all this work when it's shared. It's important that we all develop our own practice and do our own work in improving and building and maintaining our connection, our compassionate connection with self, but there's an extra special dimension when we do it as a group. I'd like to thank you all for being a part of it. My gratitude to you. Perhaps just think about an intention. Maybe pick up on that suggestion I made. That's just tomorrow, just setting yourself that little target of just noting whenever you're absorbed in your daily activity, just notice when your mind is wandering. Not following it, just notice wandered and just gently coming back to attention to what you're doing. Just getting absorbed in the moment. It's only ever in the moment that we'll find happiness and peace and contentment. As soon as we wander off into the narrative, we've had it, we're dead in the water. As soon as we move into narrative, then we're talking about the past or talking about the future. Very, very seldom in narrative that we're in the moment. So the whole point, the left hemisphere is about a few split seconds behind, not conscious awareness anyway. It's just making a map of what was coming into our neurology a few seconds earlier. So the conscious mind is never in the present moment. It's always just a step or two behind. So the only really useful function of the conscious mind is planning the future, reflecting in our contemplation time, remembering and reinforcing the things that work, and congratulating ourselves and building resources on what we're doing well, and making plans for the things we can improve on, and then going out and having a go. That's the last word goes to Samuel Beckett. Not being afraid of failure. Ever tried, ever failed. No matter. Try again, fail better. Fail just stands for first attempt in learning. So the trick in life is not being afraid of failure, it's being afraid of not failing enough. Because we don't learn very much at all from our successes. Successes are important, so we've got a store of good feelings to remembering the things that go well, and forgetting all the other stuff and just building on the lessons from them, building the future, not dwelling in the past. That's enough from me, I think, for one evening. Is it okay if I stop? Okay if I stop now?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank goodness. God, yeah.
No, carry on for another 3 hours, please.
Yeah. Well, I am doing, just in another context, I have to go for supervision on a Tuesday night. I'm still in them. I'm not allowed loose on the general public. I have to go for coaching supervision every Tuesday night. Make sure I'm behaving myself.
Thank you very much.
Well, if you need a reference, you know where to come.
Who said that? Who said that?
Me,
Who's me?
Jenny.
Oh, Jenny. Oh, lovely. Thank you, Jenny. Perfect. Yeah, I may need some references. Anyway, I'll talk about that another time. There's a coaching recognition, or a thing called Apex, which is a professional coaches body, which I'm seeking to get recognition for, and I'll need some references from people.
Mark, I have to tell you that today I had to go for an appointment and I was kept waiting a very long time. And I just happened to have in my bag a bedside manner.
Really?
And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well,
I recommend it.
You read the whole book while you were waiting for your appointment?
No, I did not. But I was kept waiting a long time.
It's not that big a book. It's everything I learned in 38 years as a GP, so it's not a very long book.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh,
It fits in a handbag nicely.
it's not very big. Yeah.
I'm a slow reader.
Yeah, that's first.
Likewise.
Yeah. I'm afraid that the editor made me take all the pictures out, so there's no colouring in for anybody. There's for those who
I did look for
like
that.
the books that you can use crayons on. It's no good for them.
It's very good. Thoroughly recommend it.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Well,
And the hair. Oh, sorry. No, I'm not allowed to say that. Sorry.
yeah. Well, lovely. Yeah, lovely. Thanks for all the feedback. The idea, if I can't remember where I wrote it now, but the idea is that none of it is true. It's the idea of this is to just take what you learn from that and make it your own and improve on it. Really, that's the idea of it.
Well,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
You go and we'll go.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
see
for
you
the plug.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Available
Thank
from
you.
Amazon and all good bookshops.
I have
I've got
it. It's all right. It's good.
I'm not giving up my day job on the strength of the royalties, I promise you.
Okay. Well, it's very good.
Cheers, Mark.
Thank you.
Hopefully normal service resumed. Jenny should be back next week, all being well, but lovely to see you. Have a blessed week, and thank you for all your
See you
support.
next week.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.